I've been wanting to do a cat delete mid pipe pretty much from the day that I bought the Can-Am. And so now we're going to try and make that work. In order to get this exhaust off, there's springs holding it back in here. And then of course we have the heat shields. We have the O2 sensor up there. And so we're going to want to remove some of this other stuff just to make it easier to work. So I'm going to take these bolts out and remove this heat shield from this as well. And then there's a mount back there with a clamp going around the heat shield. And then take the O2 sensor off and then undo the V-band clamp at the turbo. And then these springs, and hopefully everything will be out of the way then. So what I did is purchased a bunch of stainless exhaust parts off of Amazon. I wanted to do an electric cutout, so I found this 2.5-inch electric cutout along with a couple of 90s and no tube bung, this V-band clamp, and a 4-foot piece of exhaust tubing, stainless exhaust tubing. I am going to be reusing this part right here off of the stock exhaust just because I went to order another flexible exhaust pipe, and the one that I ordered here, the only part of it is stainless. I wanted it all to be stainless as much as possible, and the only part that's stainless on this is actually right here in the flex joint. Also, the inside of this thing is not 2 inches all the way through. You can see how it necks down. I think it's actually like 1 7/8 inches. It's pretty small, and I didn't want to do that. Didn't want something that's gonna just create a bottleneck right after the turbo. And so this one here, this is stainless, so it's just the parts here on the end that are not, and this doesn't neck down. You know, that through the middle of it there, the flexible pipe, it's 2.5. And actually right here where it connects to the turbo, that's 2 3/4. And so I'm just going to reuse this piece. But other than that piece, there's nothing else I'm going to reuse up until the factory muffler itself. So we'll try to start building this stuff, see if we can't make this all work out like I envision in my head. I've got all the exhaust welded together. I also cut the factory exhaust off of the muffler, welded a 2.5-inch stainless tube to it. Made it so that they connect with a V-van clamp, so that way it's easier to take apart. The V-van clamp should keep it from having any leaks. But this is all welded together, finished out. This is the only part that I used from the stock exhaust. Had a bung, stainless bung here for the O2 sensor. And then after I got done welding it and grinding it back smooth, I went and brushed it all. The brush will be easier to keep looking nice, because if anything ever happens to it, get scratched up, you just take some 120 grit sandpaper and some Scotch-Brite and you just clean it back up. So now that this is done, we'll put it back on the car. So the control box for this remote cutout, it's got to stay dry. And so one of the best things I could think of was to put it in the glove box. It kind of has a little way of sealing to keep, water out. And this part here, fits down into that area. So when it's closed, it's sort of sealed. But I mean, I drilled a hole right here for the wires to come through. There's a little drain hole down here in the bottom, which is good because that way, if water does get in there, it won't be able to actually fill up unless you submerge the whole thing, which people do. But I've got the wires running out the side right here and then coming down and underneath this panel here, and then I just ran them along already here, and then that's where it connects to the power. If you connect to these poles, it'll only come on when the ignition is actually on. That's all that this little setup needs, is just positive, negative. And then this is the wire that runs back all the way to the back there. And then we'll go ahead and start it up here so you can hear it. So that is just going through the stock muffler. Just when you're cruising around, you don't want it to be loud, or you're listening to the radio or going through camp. And then this is the little remote for it. Hit the on button. It opens it up. As you can hear, there's a big difference. And if you want to turn it back to, stock exhaust, just like that. There's also this button here that says auto. You can choose, partially open settings like quarter open, half open, 3/4, and then all the way. Here, I'll show you what it sounds like when you rev it up a little bit. Open back. That just sounds like stock. And then I'll open it up here.